It is 2024, and we are approaching the 10-year anniversary for the indie juggernaut Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me say, it is quite the time to be a Fnaf fan. I never thought I'd say it, but I'm full. I'm full. I'm almost afraid of how much is happening in August. And with all of this hullabaloo, I want to celebrate by turning iconic Fnaf characters into Pokemon. Two things I have a possibly unhealthy attachment to. They've actually got quite a few similarities. Both attract folks 13 and 31. They both have rabidly passionate fan bases who spend immeasurable amounts of time, energy, and money in fan art, music, games, etc., etc. Both have a terrifyingly large roster of dividedly likable characters. Oh, what? You don't like the new designs? Do you miss the older, edgier style of monster? Oh, and yeah, they're furry. Oh, and that kind of furry too. Fly your freak flag, baby. So yeah, they're pretty much the same thing. And I'd also like to incorporate these into my own Fakemon region that I have set in the Deep South. One place where these two are different is in Fanworks. I do love the idea that if I ever use these, I won't be sniped from space with a cease and desist. A large theme of my region is going to involve covering a lot of festivals, fairs, and events. And our cast of animatronic clowns, jesters, and entertainers will be a perfect fit. Oh, and I've also got two secret themes that connects all these characters together. I'll reveal one partway through and the other one near the end. Maybe see if you can guess my themes before I tell you. Drop a time code, guess my theme. I don't know. Let's get this party started. So, I always knew I wanted one Fakemon to be a direct reference to the animatronic aspect. And who better to embody the whole series than Freddy, the big guy himself. While I drew this, I started explicitly thinking about old Teddy Ruxpin toys, something deeply loved, but maybe a little creepy in hindsight. I want this to be a Pokemon manufactured using an actual sprite or some kind of spiritual energy, maybe even with the intention of being a safe first Pokemon for exceptionally young children. These toys were explicitly designed to protect others, especially children. After decades of witnessing harsh factory conditions, rampant abuse, and corporate greed being valued above lives, these bears, with their protection programming, went haywire. While they never harmed any children, it scared both the children and adults alike. While many still love this Pokemon, most have been left abandoned after this event. They roam looking to protect others and to find a family for themselves. A big theme of Five Nights at Freddy is corporate corruption, biggest of all being the deliberate cover-up of who knows how many murders and fires on their watch. And I think this is a fun way to reference the harm caused by Fazbear Entertainment, but not, all of the children's bodies in the robots. Meet the Ghost Steel type, Haunted from Haunted and Teddy Bear. Haunted can be found motionless near playgrounds, schools, and toy stores. Sometimes after locking eyes with a child, they can be found sitting seemingly innocently outside their home. People generally don't trust this Pokemon, but it just wants to find a place to belong and can be your greatest ally in a pinch. Next up, I wanted to tackle Foxy. If any of you are into foxes, you might know that foxes are sort of domesticating themselves right now. In the same way that cats, when seeing how beneficial it was to live around humans, they domesticated themselves, foxes are now doing the same. That, and there's also been a specific effort to domesticate foxes by a handful of groups. The foxes who have moved into neighborhoods and industrialized cities move and scavenge in packs. While usually solitary animals, foxes have found that they have better odds together. And with the abundance of pests and scraps, they don't need to fight over resources. I kind of want to lean into this pack lifestyle for Foxy. Foxy's also the scrappiest of the animatronics, and is often in some state of disrepair or left a bit neglected, or in the case of the Steel Wool games, borderline abandoned. This, plus his pirate theme, sets us up beautifully for a Fakemon, as these packs of scrappy thieving foxes roam through the city taking what they need to survive, maybe even looked at with a little bit of scorn as they do so. I've got the fur furled at the edges like a coat, and bare around the feet to give reference to the legs on OG Foxy. Little bonus, the frayed fur in the ankles gives off a rat or possum vibe, which I think fits in fantastically with its ragged street urchin kind of archetype. It looks forgotten, neglected, left to the side. Meet the normal type Foxswain, from Fox and Coxswain, the one who steers the ship. These little critters can be found roaming in packs near dwellings and businesses. They adorn themselves with all sorts of stolen loot and scavenged scraps. Now, Chica was one of the easiest to design. I immediately knew I wanted to make her a mascot. One of the biggest takeaways I get from Chica is that she's easy to underestimate. Among the animatronics in the first game, she spends so much time in the kitchen that she seems clearly less interested in you, and therefore less threatening. But she is just as dangerous as the rest. But yeah, for the most part, she's just got food on her mind. And a world famous dish is American fried chicken, and the South is the best place to find it. Largely, the dishes derive from the historical cooking traditions of West African and Scottish people. West Africans picked up some of the Scottish cooking methods and, when incorporated with West African spices, created American fried chicken. While at one time treated as a delicacy, the dish began to gain more and more negative baggage. Due to the easy accessibility of chickens, it became a staple and therefore associated with poor and black people in the United States. Chickens are also culturally belittled, seen as a lesser animal, stupid, stinky, unintelligent, while in reality, chickens are like any other animal, with a vibrant world and a life that we just don't take the time to understand. They make fantastic pets and prove time and time again to be much smarter than we give them credit for. Not that intelligence should be some bar of respecting life. In terms of actual art, I wanted to make this Fakemon like it was literally bred to be a mascot. It's cute, it's fluffy, it's round, it's marketable. Chica's most notable feature is her mouth. She eats, she bites, she loses her mouth, she's in the kitchen. While not the case with typical chicks who peck food from the ground, these have begun to hold their mouths open like other baby birds do due to their domestication by humans. They've learned how to open their mouths and beg for food. I gave it a bib to reference Chica and babies, all the while giving it that fast food restaurant kind of red and white striped pattern. From the bib to the sprinkles under the wing, it's engineered to be cute. Meet the flying type, Chicklet, from Chicklet, as in baby bird, and the slang Chicklet meaning teeth, which apparently might come from the candy. While pleasant to be around, Chicklets seem wholly uninterested in what's around them, largely concerning themselves with food. Before adopting this Pokemon, make sure you factored in a food budget because this little critter can eat you out of house and home. Alright, we're over halfway through the main lineup and I'm wondering, have you picked up on any of my themes? Do you have any guesses? Well, first off, each of these animals is in close proximity to people. Some through engineering, others through domestication. Bears, foxes, chickens, and bunnies, these are all close to people in various ways, and I wanted to incorporate that into the designs. Animatronics are there for the people around them. They dance, they sing, they entertain, they look cool and interesting for us. And I wanted to lean into that by making these animals made by or altered by humanity. Bonnie gave me a beautiful opportunity to use something I've been sitting on for a bit. From the moment I started thinking about making a Fakemon region based on the South, I knew I wanted to reference Burr Rabbit. Burr Rabbit is the main character of a series of tales passed down orally among Black and Indigenous people within the United States. In these stories, Burr Rabbit, without the strength or power of those around him, needs to use his wits and charm to get by. He taunts authority, rejects social norms. You can imagine how a character like this becomes a tradition in a world where you're enslaved, displaced, and marginalized. I think it's really easy for a lot of people to discount the level of dehumanization present in American chattel slavery. There was a time where laughter was a death sentence. For 400 years, an entire people were explicitly denied joy. Laughter became protest. If you've ever heard the phrase, a barrel of laughs, it came from slaves hiding their laughter. You become the living embodiment of the phrase, the best revenge is living well. So a tradition of characters doing what they can to survive kept up hope among folks who honestly should have had none. As you can see, initially I had a somewhat different plan. I was just gonna make Springtrap, but then I thought of Burr Rabbit and the rest fell into place from there. I also thought about referencing Bugs Bunny, and well, the character kind of turned into a reference of all things cartoons and fables. At least classic cartoons, where most animations were from the perspective of some kind of underdog using their wits. Bonnie is also the second fiddle of the gang, always looking for his time to shine, so he definitely embodies that underdog. You might not believe me looking at this video, but typically I hesitate to put clothes on Pokemon. It looks a little weird to me. How are you born with clothes? You came out the egg like that? You're wearing a whole outfit? But due to the domestication and from the Burr Rabbit reference, he just had to have a little jacket. Plus, a little rabbit in a little coat isn't exactly unheard of in cartoons. Meet the fairy type Ace Hop from Aesop, Ace, and Hop. Ace Hop are quick-witted creatures who often have mysterious motives. Never sitting still and never in one place for very long, this clever Pokemon can be incredibly difficult to catch. This Aesop's fable sort of foundation set me up beautifully for this next design. Since it's the 10-year anniversary, I'm a little hesitant to say anything concrete about, well, frankly, anything, but especially this next character. I know you, Scott. I know your deal. I know what you're all about. There's too much going on for there not to be any major changes or revelations. He's not the killer. I don't know. You never know with FNAF. But if you do know about what we know about the story of Five Nights at Freddy's thus far, you'll know that the story of William Afton is one of hubris, anger, and jealousy. And I think that's what makes Afton a great foil for, well, honestly, all the animatronics, but especially Bonnie. Where Bonnie is tricking to survive, William tricks to take advantage. William Afton is also a bit of a wannabe mad scientist, and tales of mad science are one of our more prominent cautionary tales. One where instead of the witty hero, we've got the conniving villain. William thinks he can trick others around him. He uses people for his own gain, he neglects people, he violates trust. He is in desperate need of a lesson at the end of the story to get his comeuppance. It's all about his ego. So let's see if I can get that to translate into a Pokemon. I knew he needed to be a dark type. As someone whose whole gimmick is tricking and hurting others, it's the only option. And as it's known as the evil type in Japan, I don't know many characters who fit the bill more than Will. I'll really sell this dark type with a wide, toothy, devilish smile. I draw him out in a Bonnie-like jumpsuit, and then I looked at it. And then it looked at me. And then I looked at it. And oh boy, did it look back at me.
No, it doesn't look like. No, I'm not gonna put that thought in my no. It does look like. No.
Springtrap. Willie Afton.
Come on. No. I can save this. I mean, he is a bit of a dick. Come on. Can I save this? I mean, it's gotta make some kind of karmic justice for you to look like this after being evil.
Meet the dark type Debunic. From demonic, bunny, and it doesn't hurt that it sounds like debunk, especially as theories and ideas, and we just throw stuff out there. This Pokemon has no line it won't cross to win a fight. Playing dirty and using trickery is all this creature knows. Forever unlucky and maybe even cursed with karma, this Pokemon often ends up falling into its own traps. And I think that stitchwork patchwork look also lends into that sort of mad scientist look. And now that we have our gang, did you pick up on my second theme? Where the first is proximity to people, being made by people, or just trying to survive around people. My other theme is one of being misunderstood. I think one of the biggest themes of Five Nights at Freddy's is that in spite of how scary and threatening the animatronics are, they are, at the end of the day, victims of a much greater evil. And I like to connect art to people, people to art. I'm talking about humanity, creativity, culture. I have a strong heart for the misunderstood. And it's also important for me to connect my art to history, especially a history that many have not had the chance to learn about. It's important for art to reflect life, and I want my art to say something personal to me. I say all this to say that if any of these topics, if this history means anything to you, if it sparked anything in you, please take the time to engage with the Palestinian community, watch their posts, retweet their stories, and I'll be leaving a fantastic resource for you to educate yourself. It's simple, it's digestible, it's about an hour of videos. Please learn about the people, learn about the history. I think there's a lot of darkness in the world right now, and it's only upheld because a lot of us are ignorant. And if you step out of your comfort zone and read into this, it would mean the world to me. There's a long pattern of American Black support of Palestinians and Palestinian support of Black people. And maybe I can give you a little of a view into that. I very, very deeply relate to the disgusting and dehumanizing language and behavior that they're being painted with, to be seen as lesser, dirty, unwanted, and a tumor on society. That kind of dehumanization shapes a people. It activates your spirit. Still, among all of this, please take some time to take care of yourself. It's very easy to become disheartened, especially with the lack of individual power that we have. But just know we're all in this soup together, and honestly, it's just a few stank-ass folks who refuse to get along. I very genuinely believe that. So, like I said, it's just something really important to me. Please donate if you can. And if you have an extra $1 to spare on top, I'd love to make a little money from my videos. I want to thank everyone for all the likes, the comments, the words of support. Y'all have been very supportive. And Y'all's energy is infectious. I've never felt so impassioned to create. And if you want to take an extra step to help me out, I would appreciate it immensely. I don't exactly have a job right now, and I really don't know what I'm going to do, so it would genuinely change my world. But please do not part with what you do not have. Likes and comments are helpful enough on their own. They genuinely are. But I've got a Patreon where I'll post sketches, little bits and pieces about maybe what I'm working on. I'm always working on something. Substantial updates and information will always be found here on my community tab, or I'll post about it publicly. But like I said, I'm always working on stuff. Art, models, I dabble in game dev, and Patreon would be a great place to put the stuff I'm working on, but not quite ready for everyone to see. But thanks for listening to my spiel if you made it this far. I do appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day.